It's the perfect time to replace that beast in your basement, your old inefficient boiler, with a highly efficient Peerless boiler. Peerless boilers, they're a perfect match for homes, apartments, commercial buildings, you name it. Get the heat and hot water you need efficiently and save big on your energy bill all year long. Learn more about the entire Peerless Boilers family of products, and to find a local installer near you, visit peerlessboilers.com. And remember, my guy Pete Morgan, Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers, peerlessboilers.com.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right. I did not see that coming. That sounded pretty cool. All right. We're rocking and rolling here. 6:30. I'm still on West Coast time. You know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I was just in Vegas recently, and I'm still on that 3-hour behind clock. I got to change my iPhone. I adjusted to West Coast time, and I haven't changed it back yet. So, well, there you go. Anyway, maybe it's all the snow blowing I've been doing over the last 2 days and salting. Man, it's tough being a suburban dad in New Jersey, I got to say, especially when you get 16.4 inches like we did in my wonderful town of Wyckoff, New Jersey. Hey, we survived it. Not a lot of power outages around here. What can you say? It's New Jersey. It's New York. It's Connecticut. It does snow once in a while. I love when people act shocked. You see this storm that's coming? Yeah. Have you lived here for the last couple of decades? This happens sometimes. It's called the Northeast. So I guess enjoy it, because as I've mentioned and will mention again, when you check the long-range forecast, and I'm kind of a weather nut. I want to be a weatherman, a meteorologist. You know, remember, there was Mr. G. I think Mr. G is actually still on the air on Channel 11, I think. I want to be Mr. C on Channel 2. And I would be a meteorologist for Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7. Whoever would hire me. It didn't matter, 11, 5. Back then, I'm speaking, like, totally aging myself. Like, there were only 5 channels because you had the rabbit ears. Again, I am old, despite the younger-sounding voice. The point is that I wanted to be a meteorologist, Mr. C, and I would follow the weather. I had weather stations in my bedroom with my mom and dad and my brother and sister as witnesses. And I just love following the weather. I still do, except I do it through apps now. And one app, well, several actually, are all saying that when it's February 20th, all right, if you want to look at a 30-day forecast, and I get they can't get the weather right the next day, let alone 30 days from now, at least as far as precipitation, but they can get the temperature somewhat right, just based on, the jet stream and Arctic winds coming down from Canada, and apparently we got this El Nino or La Nina or some sort of El or Non or La. It's not English, let's put it that way. But the point is that when these things happen, apparently the weather is going to have a cold streak for a significant period of time. And what we're looking at now, if you look at the 30-day forecast, is we're not going to have a day above 40 degrees in a month, which means look outside, see those big mounds of snow? Yeah, that ain't going anywhere. It's going to be lows basically in the single digits to about 20, and then maybe we break freezing for a couple days, but that's not enough to melt 15, 16, whatever, how many inches of snow you got. So this is your new reality, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and everybody listening around the country, by the way, since we're national now. And many of you got hit by this storm as well. So I think it was like 2,000 miles in terms of the impact of this storm in New York. We're a bunch of wussies, so we get one storm, we think we're all special for it. But I get it completely. You live in other parts of the country. This is like child's play. Speaking of child's play, my goodness gracious. I mean, I can't get over the fact that we have people like Tim Walz who, I will reiterate this till the cows come home. I never understood that saying. Where are the cows? Aren't they always home? Like, they're not really leaving anywhere. They're in a barn or a farm. It's not like they want a vacation. The cows come home. Somebody's going to explain that to me sometime. But here's Governor Tim Walz, a heartbeat from the presidency. Could have been the vice president of the United States. And if something happened to Kamala Harris, one bender goes sideways. Well, that's your president, President Tim Walz. Anyway, here he is. And if you're Jewish out there, right, or let's say you're not Jewish, you're a Catholic like I am, but you've studied the Holocaust, right? I wrote 2 papers in college on the Holocaust. The Holocaust, I don't have to explain to you, was horrible. That's the most obvious statement in the world when 6 million Jews are exterminated. It was the way they were exterminated. And I think a lot of people who haven't studied it don't realize how this worked. So you weren't just sent to a concentration camp and murdered. Oh, no. You were worked to the bone while barely eating. And then once you weren't productive anymore as a worker for the Nazis, then they gassed you. That's the way that worked. That's how horrible that was. And the Diary of Anne Frank, my daughter, 12 years old, she studied this as well, wrote a paper on it. And we were in Amsterdam, actually, over the summer, and actually went by the home of Anne Frank, and obviously where she hid from the Nazis, and wrote those diary passages and chronicled everything in terms of what she was feeling as a young child. I just can't even, once you have a daughter, you see things through the lens of your daughter, and then you picture her as Anne Frank. Anyway, here's Tim Walz, because he's just a horrible human being and just a goofball on top of that, which is not a good way to go through life, son. Cut 4, comparing illegals in the country who are criminals to Anne Frank hiding from the Nazis. Cut 4, go.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
Oh.
And there's one person who can end this now.
You. Yeah, you, Governor, by cooperating with ICE. Anybody see any other protests going on around the country right now? I don't. See it in Miami. See it in, New Orleans, San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, Phoenix, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Sacramento, Seattle. Anyone see this going on in Chicago? New York? Got a communist as a mayor. He can't be happy about this. D.C., Atlanta, Charlotte. Anyone see that going on? Because I don't. This is only in Minnesota, a population of 429,000 people. New York has a population of 8.25 million people. So when people say, well, this is going to hurt the Republicans in the midterms, I say what happens in the bluest state in the country, and yes, it is. You say, oh, no, California, Concha, maybe Illinois, maybe New York. Yeah, well, the only state to vote for Walter Mondale and Jimmy Carter twice, Dukakis, Gore, Kerry, Hillary, Biden, Minnesota, home of the Vikings, never won a Super Bowl. Timberwolves, never won an NBA championship. Wild, never won a Stanley Cup. Twins, I don't think the Twins have ever won a World. If they did, somebody remind me when they won a World Series, because it was before I was born. Certainly, they haven't been relevant, let's put it this way, in many years. I think if they did win a championship, it was probably before the Jets won their last Super Bowl. So, look, I'm Googling it right now. I'm buying time. That's right. The Twins, of course, won in 1991. They beat Atlanta in 7. I forgot about that one. Yeah, Kirby Puckett. All right, classic. Fine. That was still 25 years ago. Sorry. Slipped the memory. The point is, this is not, while it's a big sports town, I guess, by having every major professional team in it, at the same time, at 400,000 people, not indicative of the entire country. And again, George Floyd went national as far as that protest, went everywhere. It impacted the 2020 election, no doubt. COVID did, certainly, but that was a close second. This is not having that national impact that Democrats want, and they so want. Because what we have now is an appropriations bill that was passed in the House. Great. Again, I think that Mike Johnson, as House Speaker, tremendous job. He has no majority. He has like 2 votes. And Thomas Massie is supposedly one of those 2 votes, and the guy is a perpetual no every time, and twice on Sunday. So this guy has nothing to work with, yet he gets things through, like the big, beautiful bill, as an example. Now it goes to the Senate. Now the Senate is more tricky because there's a thing called the filibuster, and with the filibuster you need more than 60 votes in order to pass. So you need, 53 Republicans. Senate's 53-47. Then you need at least 7 Democrats to come on board and vote with you. That's the whole point of the filibuster. You can't just ram things through as one-party rule. And Democrats would love that more than anything in the world. I mean, that's the whole ballgame for them. But now we're hearing from Schumer that he's going to recommend to his caucus I can't believe he's still, minority leader, or was majority leader for that matter. But now he's saying that he is going to recommend to not pass this because of, Obamacare, like the last government shutdown? Oh, no, that's so 2025. 2026, now it's all about we cannot fund ICE in any way, shape, or form. So we've gone from defunding the police to defunding ICE, all in the name of democracy, I guess. Again, ICE is deporting, arresting the most horrible people in this country in terms of murderers, in terms of rapists, in terms of sex traffickers, in terms of child kidnappers and child traffickers. That's what you don't hear from the media. Who are you arresting? When these confrontations are happening, what kind of job are you trying to do right now? Who are you trying to protect? I don't know, U.S. citizens here legally. And you have the governor of Minnesota comparing ICE agents and border agents to the Nazis, the Gestapo, and Anne Frank to illegal criminals. Oh, it's enough to make your head hurt. Anyway, so that's where we're at this point. And they're going to shut down the government again, of course, because Democrats are not about making your life better. It's all about power, holding power, or gaining power. And if you shut down the government, it hurts everything in terms of the economy and everything else. I don't think it hurts it to the point where people think it does, because it doesn't shut down the whole government in the sense where layman's terms, right? Still many things keep running, right? You still have your garbage picked up. You still have your mail delivered. The military is still working. All these things, especially national parks and federal workers, obviously not being paid, and other things eventually are affected that could impact the economy. And that's what Democrats want. Chaos, to quote Game of Thrones and Littlefinger, is a ladder. That's all it is. You create chaos, and they see it as a good thing because Democrats have nothing to run on outside of abolish ICE, and we're here to protect democracy from Donald Trump. And we did so by nominating a gal in Kamala Harris without one vote from Democratic voters, no primary. We just installed her Soviet style and said, here you go. And that's how they're going to protect democracy when they weren't trying to throw Donald Trump in jail. Meanwhile, I mean, this is what is incredible here. When you look at this Minnesota shooting and the way the media just automatically takes the side of the so-called victim. So with Renee Good, for example, who drove her truck into an ICE agent, he had internal bleeding in his torso. Clearly, if you look at least two videos in terms of the angle, he's hit. He's hit. He's not hit directly. Sorry. 2 tons. Only got, a quarter of a ton. Still, this guy was dragged for 100 feet, by the way, by another illegal just a couple months before that. And rammings are up 3,200% against ICE agents in terms of people using vehicles against ICE. So, yeah. So when she was told to get out of the car and she was just trying to drive away and, get back to her kids. No. She was told to get out of the car. She did not. She hit the ICE agent. He was forced to fire. Then the following week, there was a man with 2 other assailants, all legal, going after ICE agents with broom handles and, more importantly, snow shovels, which, trust me, as somebody who handled a snow shovel for the last 24 hours, I feel like, I swear to God, I need a chiropractor. If anybody has one, just text me or no, you can't text me. You don't have my number. Tweet me at Joe Concha TV. All right, Joe Concha TV, good chiropractor. I can't feel my back right now. It's just I've been out there for 24 hours straight. The point is, snow shovels are heavy and they can be used as a deadly weapon. And that's what happened to another ICE officer who shot literally the guy who did that in the leg. Obviously, he survived, but the point is that Democrats and the media said, "Oh, well, this ICE agent just shot this poor man in the leg." Yeah, poor man with a snow shovel trying to kill the ICE agent. And now here we see what happened over the weekend with a man who comes fully armed, 9mm semi-automatic. Okay, license to carry in Minnesota, totally legal. Second Amendment, all for it. The problem is that he had not one but two magazines on him. All right, up to 51 bullets on him. Why? There's no elk in Minneapolis in January, or any month for that matter. What do you carry that kind of ammunition for? Oh, you just left your ID at home. Oh, that's fascinating. So no ID, and then you get in the middle of an ICE operation, and then you expect things to go well? I'm sorry. if police are conducting anything near your home, some sort of operation, law enforcement, forget police, law enforcement, we'll just call it, and you decide to show up fully armed, you don't tell the police officer, or in this case, federal officers, that you do have, obviously, a firearm on you. And, oh, by the way, the 2 magazines that you also have hidden in your jacket. Why is he carrying that again? Anybody want to ask that? In 1,000 years, I would not be armed walking into a situation like that and expecting something good to happen. But that's what happened there. And here is Scott Bessent, who I think is the MVP of the Trump administration right now. I love Marco Rubio, trust me, with the 17 jobs that he has within this administration, starting with Secretary of State. J.D. Vance has done a tremendous job. Pete Hegseth as Secretary of War, taking out Iran's nuclear facilities, getting Maduro. Not enough credit, right? He's a friend. I admit it. We worked together at Fox. But, again, if you take all that aside, just base it on the record, and Pete has done a tremendous job. But Scott Bessent, in terms of the way he handles the media, it is a masterclass. This is cut 9. Go.
For the Veterans Administration, and there's no evidence that he brandished the gun whatsoever. In fact, it appears that he was disarmed before
he brought a gun. Have you ever gone to a protest, Jonathan?
I mean, we do have a Second Amendment in this country that...
Jonathan, have you ever gone to a protest?
I mean...
have you gone to a protest?
I mean, no, actually, as a reporter covering it.
Okay, I've been to a protest. Yeah. Guess what? I didn't bring a gun. I brought a billboard.
ABC News. After Bessent, lands a TKO right now rhetorically. Right? I didn't bring a gun. I bought a sign. Thank you, Scott Bessent. We must go to break. Jonathan Karl. He's written not 1, 2, 3, 4 anti-Trump books. Nothing about Biden. That's weird for a former senior White House correspondent. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, people. Well, if you're a Jet fan, boy, it had to be such an honor to watch Sam Darnold, your former first-round pick, actually beats the Rams, and now a former Jet quarterback is going to the Super Bowl. Wow. I mean, and now, if he beats the Patriots, who you hate more than anything in the world, I'm thinking that, that number 3 pick in, 2018, that was probably worth it for the Jets. Talk about a curse. You got to watch Sam Darnold go to the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers, right? He gets hurt in the 3rd play of the season 2 years ago. He's okay for the Jets last year, but not great. Then he goes to the Steelers, and they go to the playoffs. I mean, there's a curse. There's absolutely a curse. I mean, we always heard about Babe Ruth and the Yankees. This is infinitely worse. 57 years and another season where Jet fans have to watch the Super Bowl from home. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more. I mean, really so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So we're going to go through our top 10 sound bites of the weekend. There's so much to work with. I don't even know where to begin. Let's see. Yes, I love doing this. Amy Klobuchar. She is a senator of Minnesota, once ran for president in 2020, endorsed by the New York Times as their candidate of choice, along with Elizabeth Warren. I've never seen that before, where, the paper of record says, well, we're going to endorse 2 people for the Democratic nomination because we just can't decide between one. Trophy for everybody, I guess. But anyway, Klobuchar was one of those people. And she has been leading the charge in terms of abolishing ICE. I want ICE out of Minneapolis. I want them out of Minnesota. They have no business being here, right? Illegals are great people, and they're all part of the community. Has Amy Klobuchar met Amy Klobuchar from 20 years ago? Because here she is advocating. She sounds just like Donald Trump here. I swear to God. Close your eyes. Change the voice. Trust me, you want to change the voice. And you're going to hear Donald Trump here. This is cut number 2. This is number 10 on the top 10.
What we have people waiting to come in legally. Thousands of people waiting to come in legally to this country, and we have people coming in illegally. That's not right. We need to get order at the border. But we also have to stop giving amnesty to companies that are hiring illegal immigrants.
Ooh, I like this 2006 Amy Klobuchar. She sounds like a Republican. No, forget Republican. Sounds like somebody with common sense. Well, 2006 Amy Klobuchar has not talked to 2026 Amy Klobuchar because now this one wants ICE out of Minneapolis, wants a pathway to citizenship for all illegals in the country. In other words, how did Amish used to put it, has the backbone of a jellyfish. Yes, I think that's what I was looking for. Anyway, Greg Bavino is the head of Border Patrol, and this guy is as serious as a prison fight. Here he is in cut number 3, and this is cut number 9 on our top 10 list of the best cuts of the night. This guy, trust me, I want him on my not fantasy football team. I want him on my softball team. He's the type of guy who would take out the catcher, if needed, at the plate, like Pete Rose back in 1970 in the All-Star game. This guy will run over anybody to protect those in this country. Here he is in cut 3. You'll see what I mean. Go.
If there's an investigation going on and you have not concluded, isn't it possible this was a bad shooting? Or have you already concluded for yourself that this was justified?
I've not concluded anything. I've not given you a conclusion. But what I do know,
it's a bad shooting.
What I do know is this individual was on that scene several minutes before that shooting, interfering with a lawful, legal, ethical law enforcement operation to arrest Jose Huerta Chuma. And again, it's back to choices. We just talked about choices. When someone makes the choice to come into an active law enforcement scene, interfere, obstruct, delay, or assault law enforcement officers, and they bring a weapon to do that, that is a choice that individual made.
Thank you. Greg Bavino. That is a choice that individual made. Again, think of this. Let's say you're really against something and you want to protest. That's fine. Like, we're all for that. All good. It's what America was built on. Boston Tea Party started there, and ever since then, all great things, especially during Vietnam, which was a very unjust war. I get it completely and totally. Jose Huerta Chuma is a guy who was, at least Border Patrol / ICE was trying to arrest because he had beaten his wife and several other women to a pulp. He also was driving without a driver's license, which you say, well, that's no big deal, Joe, except the problem is that if you don't understand English, we have had multiple incidents of innocent Americans being killed by people who were driving in the United States who did not understand the signs and therefore went through them and killed people. So yeah, that is a very big deal as well. This person also has been charged with battery, which against not women, but in general in terms of trying to, steal things and therefore beat the person he was trying to steal from. In other words, a very bad person, which you don't hear in any of the media reports around this particular arrest that was attempted before Alex Preddy decided to jump in with a loaded handgun and then this is the part, again, I think is everything. When you walk in with 2 rounds of ammunition, 51 bullets, magazines on you, what were you thinking at that point when you approached these federal agents? Why would you need that on you? You knew you had it on you. And then I'm reading today that his family said, well, yeah, while he was licensed to carry a gun, he never actually did. So why this day at that time in that place? It's a very, very fair question that we're asking here. Meanwhile, over on CNN, Dana Bash, who I am sick and tired of these people that try to tell us that they're objective journalists, whether it's Caitlin Collins, whether it's Abby Phillip, whether it's Jake Tapper, and especially Dana Bash, doing these interviews with people where it is as hostile as anything you'll ever hear compared to the way they treat Democrats. Here is the exact Exhibit A example of that. Cut number 6. This is number 7 on our best or worst sound bites of the day. Cut number 6, go.
Saying that he assaulted a federal officer. But again, we have not seen evidence that that happened. It looked like he was on the defense. And again, he had a gun legally. It's sort of feels like we're in the upside down, where we have law enforcement and conservatives who are very pro Second Amendment saying the problem was that he had a gun legally.
No, the problem is, as I said several times now, is he injected himself. He put himself where he did not need to be. He put himself in and put law enforcement officers in jeopardy through his actions. These were his actions, not law enforcement officers' action. We had to react to an individual that came there for a specific reason. And again, what that reason is, we're going to find more out about that in the coming days. I'll be interested to see what his reason for being there, while Border Patrol agents were arresting a violent criminal illegal alien doing their lawful, ethical, and moral duties in Minneapolis. That's the question.
That's the thing, right? It's not the legal right to carry the gun, which the media tries to. Now they're all pro Second Amendment. Go figure. It's where he did it and how he did it. If you have that kind of firearm on you and you approach federal law enforcement or any law enforcement, you have your hands up. You say, yes, I am armed right now. I just want to XYZ while you're there. He didn't do that. And when an officer sees a gun, and if he reaches for it, which we don't know whether he did or not, some accounts say yes, some accounts say no. In that fog of war where you have 1 second to make a decision, again, what would you have these guys do? Meanwhile, ABC's Good Morning America, which is I'm trying to find like the worst media outlet out there is. I think it's CNN. I can't even count MS Now because that's not a news organization. That's MSDNC. It's MSLSD. I mean, what do you even call it at this point? But here's Good Morning America. This is just 9 seconds. But at the same time, overnight last night, there were people that were ransacking stores, breaking windows. It's just anarchy in Minnesota because the governor and the mayor allow it. This is the way they present this, though. And I think you could pick up the bias just a little bit. This is cut number 14. Go.
Overnight mounting outrage and demands for accountability in Minneapolis.
Keep moving!
Demonstrators face to face with police.
Yes, outrage overnight. Outrage. How is that outrage displayed exactly? By destroying businesses? By hurting people? By setting things on fire? Mostly peaceful protests. It's just like 2020 all over again. What a joke. I'm sorry, CNN is the worst because here we have Jake Tapper, who takes himself impossibly seriously. He is the greatest journalist since Cronkite. Just ask him. Well, here he is. They'll put any freak on the air on that ridiculous network where, again, they have more employees than actual viewers. Well, here we go. Cut number 13, where there is this guest who looks like Vanilla Ice, basically. All right, this guy, like backwards hat, hoodie, 24 years old. Yeah, let's put that expert on. Perfect. Excellent. Cut number 13. Here he is basically saying that ICE eventually is going to start putting people in ovens, like the Nazis. Get it? Cut number 13. Go.
I understand that, but they take people to Fort Snelling here, which literally was built as a concentration camp, and Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we can all agree is a concentration camp. I'm not saying they're Dachau. I'm not saying they're putting people in ovens yet. But these are concentration camps.
Okay.
I don't need to argue with you about
that.
Listen to Jake. Oh, Jake, you would have yelled at any conservative who said something as insane as that. Not putting people in ovens yet. That's our news, people. Meanwhile, Jamal Bowman, remember him? He's the guy who was a congressman from our great state of New York. Not my great state. I'm from Jersey. Trust me, it gets no better here. But the point is that Jamal Bowman, the guy who pulled the fire alarm to make sure a vote didn't happen on Capitol Hill and then lied about it. And the problem was that there was video of him pulling the fire alarm. Eventually, even this guy wasn't insane left enough to be reelected by his constituents. Anyway, now he's one of those guys that has a lot of time in his hands, doesn't know quite how to pass the hours of the day. Cut number 10. Here he is saying that we basically have to blow up everything, shut the system down. He is Jamal Bowman, and he is unemployed, and I don't know why exactly I'm paying attention to him, but, well, it's entertainment. What can we say? In a very, very bad way. Cut number 10.
Trump ass Republicans, yo.
What?
The are y'all doing over there? Support fascism and this bullshit? Yo, we better not ever vote for any of these clowns ever again. And Democrats use any means necessary to shut it down.
Wow, he seems sane. Jamal Bowman, he represented a district in the United States Congress. I know that Congress is as popular as shingles and lice these days, but still, geez, dude. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. We're having a lot of fun. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So, the church storming, again, the news cycle moves so quickly that we forget that there were these bunch of Antifa-like leftists led by Don Lemon who stormed a peaceful church ceremony in Minneapolis just, 8-9 days ago. And now the arrested organizer, so there were 3 arrests done by Pam Bondi's DOJ, because you can't kind of, storm a church, private property. There's a bunch of laws around this, including under the Ku Klux Klan Act. But nevertheless, here is now the arrested organizer. Obviously, she's out. Now, where could she run to push her narrative without any pushback whatsoever? And in fact, maybe the alleged news organization can actually, kind of promote her in a way where she seems like the victim. Oh, of course, it's CNN, Crazy News Network. This is cut number 1. Go.
So I want to clarify that. We didn't rush in. We didn't bust in. We were a part of the service until I got up and posed that question to the pastor.
All right. And obviously, I'm not going to dispute your saying what happened.
I'm not going to dispute anything that happened. Actually, you should. That was Aaron Burnett, who I guess was supposed to be one of the normal ones around there. But what is going on there? Yeah, look, you get in the face of the pastor and of all of these people who were just praying on a Sunday morning, have their kids there. The kids were traumatized. Obviously they were. These maniacs came in, started screaming about white privilege, started talking about the Baltimore Ferguson incident, horrible, horrific lie, hands up, don't shoot. And then obviously going off on what happened with Nicole Good, Renee Good, as far as her ramming her car into an ICE officer, causing internal bleeding to his torso, and the guy was forced to shoot after she was told to get out of the car. This is what happened at this church storming. It's against the law. And now what does CNN do? Put this person on to make her the victim. This is what you're now dealing with going into the midterms and into the 2028 presidential election, like you've been dealing with if you're a conservative, going all the way back to the beginning of time, basically, but let's call it 2007, 2008. Barack Obama, that's when things really changed as far as the media was concerned, because before I think they were liberal, but there was this code, I guess, that said, well, try at least to be somewhat objective, pretend you are, whether you're Tom Brokaw or Dan Rather. And then we saw what Rather has become when the mask has come off. But now it's just, it's all about a war of attrition. It's take no prisoners, and the media does not care about the fact that they are completely and totally in the tank, in the bag for the Democratic Party. And as, a conservative Republican, social media is a great equalizer. The fact that no one trusts the media anymore is a great equalizer. And it's why Donald Trump won in 2024 every swing state and the popular vote. Republicans take back the Senate because no one trusts the media anymore. So before you say, like, oh, boy, we're screwed, the media is going to be totally on the side of Democrats, well, I'm not sure it really has that much of an impact like it used to. Anyway, Joe Rogan has an impact. He has something like 12 million people listening to his podcast per day. Joes are very effective like that when they do podcasts and radio shows and so on. What can I say? I come from a lineage of great names. Let's see, Joe Pesci, right? Goodfellas, Casino. The Irishman he was actually very good in. Not a great movie. Little too long. It was like Titanic. It was almost like 3 hours long. And it was great to see like Pacino, De Niro, Pesci, granted geriatrics, but that whole thing they did where they looked younger, particularly Pesci. Pesci looked like 1990s Goodfellas Pesci, So anyway, I've totally gone off on a tangent once again, but that's kind of a thing with this radio show. Here is Joe Rogan. Oh, other Joes that are great, by the way. Let's see, Joe Torre. Okay, let's see. Well, not 1, 2, 3, 4 championships with the Yankees. Probably should have won more, I got to admit. Joe Piscopo, a friend of mine, great guy. That's a good Joe as well. Joe DiMaggio. You could consider like a top 3 hitter of all time. In my softball league, I wore number 5 for Joe D. So there you go. That's all the Joes I could think of right now as far as like great Joes. But the point is that here is Joe Rogan, and here he is talking about what Donald Trump should do if and when he leaves office as far as his next public office that he should hold. This is cut number 8. Go.
What Donald Trump should do is when he leaves the office, run for governor of California.
Oh, I love that.
And just take over California and fix it. It would be hilarious if he did. It would be one of the funniest things of all time. If an 82-year-old man steps into the office of governor of California, we're going to fix everything. You've got a problem with water. I know how to get the water.
It's not bad.
It would be hilarious.
Oh, well, there you go. It's true, though. I mean, he should do that. That would be funny on many, many levels. And you say, well, he's not a resident of Florida. Like, that matters? Hillary Clinton, I'm a Yankee fan. No, you're not. No, you're from, Illinois, Arkansas, not New York. And she still ran for Senate in New York. So I don't think it really matters. So that would be awesome if an 82-year-old Trump, if he doesn't seek a second, he's already in a third term, or fourth term for that matter. He even put up on social media this weekend on Truth Social that should I seek a fourth term? In other words, the ultimate troll. It's quite funny. Anyway, let's leave it here. So I said on the show on Sunday, in fact, you know what? I'm not going to claim what I said on Sunday as far as my show at 11 a.m. On Sundays, originating out of here in my basement in New Jersey. Let me tell you what I said about Zohran Mamdani and the incoming blizzard. And what I can guarantee, I bet my kids' college fund on this. We're talking, a lot of money. I mean, if they want to go to, let's see, my daughter wants to go to, either Tennessee or Duke. Okay, we're talking like $90,000 a year right now. And my son wants to go to Notre Dame. And yeah, we're talking like bankruptcy for a very long time. I'm trying to save for it. But either way, I bet my kids' college fund that this would happen. Here's the prediction. Cut number 16, go. And I can guarantee you, I'm going to bet my kids' college fund, okay, which is growing. I started early, and do that if you have children. But the point is that there's going to be some sort of social media video or photo of Mamdani smiling and shoveling. Because in Uganda, no one knows how to tackle snow better than the rich kid from Uganda, which at last check, I don't think gets any snow. But he'll be out there with a big smile saying, all right, here I am. Yep. And guess what? Only 2 hours after I said that, there was Mamdani in Brooklyn shoveling. And this guy couldn't lift an ice cream sundae, let alone all that snow. And it looked like that. That's certainly for sure. Anyway, I am Joe Concha. This has been the Joe Concha Show. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're back tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Until then, 2 words for you. Bye-bye.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.